Well, hello everybody. Hamma, welcome to Devil's Advocate. That was a little bit rough. Um, Sorry about that. I think to say the least, a lot of controversy, a lot of frustration. We were playing well before shit hit the fan, if I will. And we're going to cover everything the best that we can. This is my first time hosting, so bear with me a little bit. We will work our way through this. I got Kevin, I got Khalid, and is it Darragh? I don't want to mess it up.
Darragh, man.
Darragh. All right. So, first, let's talk. At least start with some of the positive. Actually, yeah, we're gonna start with some of the positivity before we get to the controversy. Right? We again, like I said, we were playing well to begin. Um, we were up 2 goals. They were one of the second one was sloppy, but I think that first one was some great football, and it looked like we were heading in the right direction. So let's talk about that first one. Kevin, if you want to go ahead and share your thoughts on that first one first, and we'll kind of just go in a circle. But yeah, I think we started out well, and let's start on the positives.
Yeah, we'll start on maybe Marcus Rashford's only good touch, probably no one match, I'd say. Just quick 1-2s and a nice spot by McTominay, and one of the second easiest goal that Haaland or Højlund will ever score, I think. His easiest spot.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I think it was turning out to be a stress relieving game for Højlund after we weren't feeding him in all the different tournaments we were playing, and he was grabbing some Champions League, and it looked like it was going to turn out to be that. Darragh, you can come in next. What did you think? Like, do you think before all the crap hit the fan that this was probably going to start turning out? And I mean, shit, the kid was on the trajectory for a hat trick, so it was going to turn out to be something good for him.
To be honest, I think the first 20-25 minutes, I think we just proved there the Højlund is proving to be what we're after paying for him. It's only a matter of time until he actually comes to fruition. That obviously depends on the course if we can give him the service that he truly deserves, really. He's just got that poacher instinct. It just reminds me of watching, as a young kid, watching Ruud van Nistelrooy back in the early 2000s, mid-2000s. It's just the way he's got that killer instinct to get in front of goal, even if it's right at the back post. We can talk about goals at the back post later when it comes to that. But no, when you just see how he moves, he's got that raw pace, he's got the pressing ability, and like I said, he's got the killer instinct at the back post. He will turn out to be the great player that we have paid the money for. He has got the bags of potential. As Kevin points out, some of the easiest goals he'll score, he could, if the service was there, I do think he could have easily gotten another one or two very similar goals tonight. But again, it all depends on the service as well.
Yeah, I mean, Khalid, you can come in real quick too, because I want to add a little something to that off of what Darragh just said there. The service as well, right? That second goal did come in on a little bit of a sloppiness from Copenhagen, but we came up and we started and we were able to capitalize on it. And I think I tweeted it was the two kids running, right? Bruno released them and it was freaking Garnacho and Højlund, the two kids on the pitch going up. But people have been talking about the service on the wing. So in that second goal, to be honest, some people were saying, and I'll be honest, my personal opinion, he should have laid it off initially, but I guess maybe because we scored, I didn't mind him taking it because, it was 2-on-1 with the keeper, right? But
listen,
in terms of that goal, do you think he should have given it up? And then also just overall.
Listen, in terms of the goal or in terms of Højlund, I'm super happy with what I've seen, but for me, I think we can still do more. It was trending on Twitter, Mr. Champions League, he's 5 goals in 4 games. And when I saw it, Mr. Champions League, I was like, everyone's speaking about Cristiano again. And then I looked it up and it's Højlund, So he's got a lot of potential. He's showing it game over game. Obviously not as much as Haaland with the Noisy Neighbors did last year, but I see that he still needs probably more time, more push from the back in order to score more. That second goal, I believe, and I was cheering for Garnacho to score it, to be fair. and I was biased maybe, but I wanted it to go in since the beginning. No hustle, but happy it went in. But as an overall, you said it in the beginning, it was rough. It was not easy to watch, but my positive point is not performance or Hoyland or anything. I'll surprise all of you. My positive point is Harry Maguire. We'll dive into it. I believe I see many positive things week after week. And on the other side, I was super disappointed of Dalot after the Newcastle game and after today. Two easy goals coming from his side, but we'll speak about that in details. But as I said,
Yeah.
there's a lot of positives. But for me, Maguire, I mean, that shot at the end, it said it all. Like he's in the middle, he wants to help to score. So yeah, that's from my side.
Okay. So, I mean, we weren't able to talk too much of the positives because the negatives came in very quickly. First, let's talk about the red card because I think that's the most controversial one, surprisingly, out of all the controversy with VAR and everything that went on today. I'll share my opinion quickly, and then we'll just do a roundtable on that whole topic because I'm sure everybody has a lot to say about that. From a footballing perspective, first, there's Rashford is not making a tackle. Rashford is not trying to. I don't even think Rashford was paying attention to the kid. So just making that turn as a footballer, if you've played football or if you watched it for long enough also and you understand it, is part of the game, especially for an attacker. So for that to be taken into perspective to even go to VAR in the first place is ridiculous. And then secondly, for that to and I need clarification on this. I don't know if you guys were able to figure it out because I started seeing stuff on Twitter. If he was sent off for his arm and not for stepping on the kid, I'm going to be pissed because I'm pretty sure the whole point of VAR for that initial review was for the step. And then if he would have got sent off for something else, I don't understand that part. So for me, that's it. From a football perspective, that shouldn't be anything to even be looked at in the first place. And the decision after being looked at was terrible. We're just going to go in order again. Kevin, you can start on your thoughts, and everybody can just come in order as everyone finishes.
Yeah, I'm going to try and just be as blunt. I think it's a red card. He's trying to shield the ball off. He's paying attention to the guy because he's trying to shield the ball away from him. And the guy's being quicker. I'm not sure which Copenhagen player it was. And I mean, it's rash. He's stretched out too far, I think, to shield the ball. And it's just, he hasn't done himself any favors with the performance before that. But I think it is a red card, personally. They look at everything now. Probably 5 years ago, you'd easily get away without a yellow card even. But we have to look at what the rules are today. It's a red card.
The ending part there, yes, what the rules are today. But just as a question, because I think some people would ask this as well, what are you? He's already in that motion, right? He's already making the attempt to shield the ball as the kid's coming in. Where you know what I'm saying? So I get where you're coming from in terms of that, but there's not much he can do once he's already in that motion.
Well, I mean, he's made that motion, but the guy's leg is on the ground first, and then he's stepped straight down on. It is an ankle breaking, like not challenge, but it's reckless, is what it is. It's just reckless.
Okay. Darragh?
Personally, I agree with Kevin. It is red, but like I would try to take a different perspective on it. At the end of the day, you could just clearly just see from full speed, he's just trying to play the ball. He's trying to shield the ball. He's trying to protect it and swing back around again. I thought nothing of it until, as we all saw, the VAR check coming in itself. Now, Callum will know damn well my opinions on VAR, and anyone who follows me on social media will know my opinions on VAR and how blatantly it can go against Manchester United sometimes. But straight out, I have it written down here. If it is a red on the grounds that it's that one angle, and unfortunately it is down to one angle in a lot of VAR calls. One angle, and it just looks worse than what it is. Yes, fair enough. I will still say it's a red card because studs are up, leading in with the foot, especially if it reached any higher. If it was any higher up the leg, I don't think anyone would disagree 100% whether it was a red card or not. I think everyone would be saying, yeah, red card, fair enough. But as I said about this motion of VAR and a couple of the penalty situations down the line, if it was given against us, it has to be given for us. So if it went one way, it has to go the other. And it's the same with my thoughts for the penalties down the line later in the game as well. So it's just a simple case of if it's going to happen against you, it's going to happen for you. And if the shoe was on the other foot in that regard, it's a red card for Copenhagen, straight up.
Yeah, listen, from my side, I missed the red card live in the game. My son woke up and I just went for him and came back, and then I see the red box on top of the Man United, and I was like, oh God, what happened? And I just never expected to see Rashford having a red card. Never. When I saw the red, I saw maybe it's Maguire, maybe Varane. I don't know what happened. I saw it, and believe it or not, until at the end of the game, I saw the incident. Like, I didn't see it fully now in videos and replays like you guys saw it live. But I believe from what I've seen, it is a red card. It is a red card. And just for the controversy, Jamie Carragher tweeted, and I have it open, and I'll read it letter by letter. It says, no way is that a red card for Rashford. Hate these slow motion replays and still images that make everything look 10 times worse. So, it's a complex thing. Garnacho goal against Arsenal here with a lot of opinions about VAR. I'm not super happy with what happened also with Newcastle's goal against Arsenal on the weekend. So it's super complex with VAR. But for me, it is a red card from what I see, at least from my perspective here, from the picture, from the video. It ruined the game. It completely sent the game in a different way. You can't blame Rashford because it was a small connection, etc. And then it happened. As Darragh said, I share the same opinion in our podcast with Darragh about the relationship with the VAR. And if it happens against you, it will happen for you. So that's it. It's part of the game, and you have to accept it, and you have to move on. Just like we got a penalty with VAR. So just to be fair, also, so if it went to VAR, we wouldn't be up 3-2 at the game. So I believe it is a red card. I believe somehow I said do not blame Rashford, but I would blame a little bit Rashford to be more experienced as a player. You're a senior player. You're a leader in the team. You would just try to avoid that. I mean, and again, I didn't see it, so I cannot just speak in a biased way about it or unbiased way about it. But it's a complex thing that we can speak about it later also about the penalty, the VAR, and everything. But for me, from what I see, it is a red card, and Rashford deserved it. Yeah, to go out.
And sorry, Hamma, just to cut across there as well, just to add your point there about the reason UEFA gave Rashford the red card about the arm and not the stamp itself. I genuinely think that's just the case of them trying to cover their tracks, because there's no way, like we've all just kind of agreed there, it's a red card for the stamp below, or for I will call it the stamp, maybe the studs high in the tackle. But I mean, come on, if they're genuinely just trying to put that out just to save their skin, it's just a poor attempt, really.
Okay, so first of all three of you just shot me in the heart with arrows. Like, it's already been a rough game. Nobody agreed with me. No, I'm just kidding. It's all right. But my point is, though, and unfortunately, I am going to bring a little bit of an American angle into this, and I know sometimes not everybody's a big fan when I do that, but I'm the host this time, so you can all eat it and just enjoy. My issue as well, actually, first real quick is, damn, you just going to leave like that? No, I'm kidding. So first of all, one part of the issue is, and with what you said with the VAR, and this is not building issue with VAR, is in my stream, I'm not sure if everybody was watching the same stream, when he went to the screen, the first image on the screen was Rashford standing on his ankle in freeze frame. Everybody's going to give a great card for, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, however the process is that they are looking at these things needs to be improved, because it's just, it's being an issue. And then the part that I said about the American thing is like, so an issue going on in NFL right now is people getting called for dangerous hits or roughing the passes and penalties that are changing the game completely in 0.5 second instinct things that happen on the pitch. And to me, this is one of those things. It is, and I know you guys seeing, and I know Kevin, you brought it up, right? He says, so he's shielding it, so he knows the player is coming already and that kind of thing. And I understand all those points, but these are things that are happening at full speed in max 2-second windows. And I think I'm being generous at this level, right? Like Champions League professional level. We can't keep making decisions on this close of things that happen in a second because we get a freeze frame image of a 10 times slowdown image. So that's where my issue is. Certain things I understand using VAR for, but stuff like this is like they can't do anything in those half a second, 2 seconds, 1 second because it's going so fast. That's just one of my other issues. Now, the two other goals and the penalties, that I understand, and we actually, I'm assuming by the sounds of it, we actually all are going to agree on that one. Whether or not you fully agree with them being handballs, at that point, it was consistency issue. They gave it in the first half, so they had to give it in the second half because it was basically the same thing. So this one, we can talk about that, but my question is also VAR overall. Today, they were consistent in that sense, whether people agree or understand the rule or whatever. The consistency, I think, is one of the biggest issues in VAR. And just because of how everything's had to go on in this game, we are going to just talk a little bit about VAR overall. So what are your guys' opinions on that? Are we all in agreement? I think we are about they just had to give it for consistency. But in terms of the inconsistency on not just things like handballs, just overall on the inconsistency things that go on in VAR, what are your guys' some thoughts on that area? Kevin?
Oh, if you're consistently mingy, you have to be consistently mingy, and if you're consistently strict, you have to be consistently strict. You can't. I mean, it would have been worse if they just give one team everything and the rest of the teams nothing. You know, you'll get that stupid picture I hate of Howard Webb in a Man United jersey where everyone used to say, "Oh, the referees love Man United," so it'll just go to that or against us. So that's how it is. It has to be done.
We can just go in order for that one as well. Khaled.
Listen, it can go on and on, but I believe in technology. I am tech guy. I want VAR to stay. I want VAR to get better. I want VAR to improve. I want VAR to use artificial intelligence in order to have a faster game, have a more strength, and have faster decisions and wiser decision. Like when you see, as I said, what happened in Newcastle, in St. James Park, when you see the errors that we had during the season, you would say, football was better without VAR or whatever. I disagree. I believe that VAR has to be there, has to get better, has to learn by doing, and hopefully with more technology and to get better. You know, just you can't just sit there and say it's because of VAR. It's because of many things. We screwed up big times. We let go the game. At some point I was watching Bayern Galatasaray. Yeah. You know, we were 3-2. I was like, I watched the VAR check for Harry Kane's goal. I'm like, please be a goal, please be. So I'd blame ourselves and like as a team, as a players, as the players about that. But I believe in VAR. I want VAR to continue. I want VAR to stay. I want VAR to lead by example and to have really technology, artificial intelligence, whatever, just to be stronger and better. You know.
Yeah, and real quick before you jump in there, and you can add your comments on this one as well. Just Khaled, I do agree on that part, on the progress that I think it needs and the improvements it needs. Would you say that we need to eat it and keep going as it gets better, or because in the last what the fuck? Sorry, on the can y'all hear that?
It's all right. A lovely dog, it seems.
Yes, no.
Yes.
So okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It happens.
Listen, sorry, I just want to mention real quick because on my last thing I talked with Stu. Sorry, a part of me said, should we get to a point where we might need to just suspend it and try to make improvements and then bring it back? Would you try that path and bring it back with technology?
No.
Maybe?
No. I will never suspend it.
No.
I will never suspend it at this stage after having seen what we've seen with the progress, with everything. But I would try to work it out with technology and see how it goes. It's not easy. You've got two games average per week. You've got referees all over the place, and then you've got the connections, and then technology, and then what happened with the audio that we all heard with the Liverpool Spurs game. And it's not easy. It will take, at least for me, to be really, really effective, 3 to 5 years to a point where VIR is really at 99.99999%. It would take time. It's not, I mean, nations lost World Cups because of errors without VAR, Champions Leagues. We lost Premier Leagues. My biggest fear and regret, not fear, it's regret, that Drogba goal in Old Trafford in a season that did cost us the Premier League when they won over us. It was way offside. And you might laugh. My alias online is the guy offside. It was generated with artificial intelligence. I'm a tech guy. I believe in artificial intelligence. So it will be there. I won't suspend VAR. I would see more investments in it, but as I said, I see at least minimum 3 years, especially for the Premier League. Like it can land faster in other leagues. If you see Ligue 1, La Liga, or I don't know, Championship, maybe it's less intense, less games per week. Just look at it: Man City, Newcastle, and then today with Copenhagen, Champions League, 3 games in less than 10 days. So things do not stop. So I would never suspend it. I'll just wait for it, learn by doing, and grow, because that's how you train it. Otherwise, when you suspend it and you just sit and have no VAR, and then things go well, everyone says, yeah, it's better without VAR. Or you suspend it and say it's coming back, which means something is really heavily wrong. And then Liverpool would ask to replay like 3 seasons, not just one game, you never know. So yeah, that's my opinion. Tell me.
Just the one thing they could do now is when they call the referee over to look at the
monitor,
the
monitor.
They could not show the clip at 0.0001 speed. They could show that actual real
That's
speed,
true,
but from every angle. That's what they could do. So like 5 angles, but at
I
one
agree.
speed.
And let me tell you something. When I saw the replay for the penalty that we got, I said it's not a penalty. When I saw it in a 0.1 and how it happened, I said he won't give it to us.
But it had to be.
I wanted it to penalty, but I said it's not going to happen. And that's the complexity of VAR,
That goes back to my point I originally made earlier. If you got a penalty against you for the same reason, you're going to get it then. But I suppose to answer the question that you were asking, Hamma, in relation to VAR, I do feel it works. But is it a case that the referees are incompetent? And I'm not trying to say all referees are incompetent. It's more just a case of, you have to look at it this way: FIFA, UEFA, all the different governing bodies in world football, they need to come together, agree this is a set of rules of how to use VAR, because you look at it this way: the PGMOL have a different line of ruling to the way UEFA themselves would probably use VAR. Like even in the way that the offside ruling would be used, let's say, like I'm watching now on TNT Sports here in the UK or in Ireland, where it would be BT Sport in the UK previously. So how it would look is as if the best way to explain it is as if one person was literally a silhouette kind of character, and you literally see in line then say it's very well put by TNT Sports. However, if that kind of implements into all sorts, it'd be a lot better, because as far as I'm aware, that's the way UEFA will view the offsides, rather than this big double-sided screen for VAR that the Premier League stream seems to use. So, if you get all governing bodies, FIFA, UEFA, all the big major governing bodies of the world, to come together and just sort out, right, this is how VAR should be used once and for all. And on that note, then say, I go back to Liverpool Spurs game that Canada even mentioned there, when they released the audio, you heard how many different voices were in the background. That shows how many different people were involved in VAR per game. And like, this isn't the case that I'm agreeing. Like, I'm not agreeing with the whole Liverpool getting a replay. But what I'm trying to say there is, you hear back that audio, you listen to all the different audios that they've released of different controversies since then, and you kind of have to think, is it a case of too many cooks spoil the broth? Because I genuinely do feel if you just have one person in charge, because like you listen back to the audio, there's like 3 or 4 people involved, 3 different assistant VARs. It's not going to work if you're going to have a couple of people undermining another person. And then at the end of it all, if it's a case that, okay, VAR effed up, say, it's just a case of, okay, it's down to one person in VAR and the referee. Whereas you have the referee, the main person in charge of VAR, and about 3 or 4 different people in behind him trying to undermine him. Then it's just a case of you have to narrow it down. It's kind of like, as I said, too many cooks spoil the broth. Imagine it this way: you have your head chef, the referee, your sous chef is the VAR, and then you have about 4 or 5 different chefs trying to undermine the sous chef to get ahead to the main chef. It just doesn't work. So I think if you just narrow it down to your referee, your linesmans, your 4th official, and one singular VAR official, I think it narrows it down, and I think it actually, I won't say point the blame at people, but it'll make it a lot more clear, because like, I just thought initially it was only, I just initially thought it was only one person in VAR, and then you hear back these audios about 4 or 5 different fellas just saying, well, you could have called him, and all you hear is, fuck, no. Like, it just completely undermines it. Like, so honestly, if you just narrow it down to one person per role, it makes it a whole lot clearer. And like I said, just get the governing bodies to agree one set of rules, because I'll agree with Khaled. The technology is there to stay. It is going to work eventually. But right now, I think it's a case that the technology is actually correct. It's just the people in charge of it is not.
Anybody else? Any more comments on VAR before we move on?
No, I think it's more than enough with VAR.
It's there to stay, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, before we get to ratings, and I believe a couple of you guys brought it up already too, and I saw somebody tweet it, so I think it's an important way to end this match. While it was a rough ending, and yes, we lost and all that, and da-da-da, even with 10 men, there were parts and points in that game, and some extended points as well, where we were still technically in a rough team. Yes, we got the 3-2 off the questionable goal, whatever thing, but they had to be consistent. But we did give it away at the end, both with Dallow's massively weak defending, and me being a former center back and defender. I want to go and fly to England right now from the US and fight him, because that was some weak ass shit at the back post. And then Varane, he wasn't under as much pressure as I maybe thought, or maybe he thought he was, to give that ball away that ended up eventually bouncing around and leading to that freaking guy with Rooney and a weird last name getting their goal. So everybody, we're going to still go around this as we did in circles. Kevin, we can start with you again. We gave it away at the end, and you can talk about Darragh, you can talk about everyone. I think everyone's going to mention Darragh because of the rough few games he's had. But even with 10 men, we were better, and we ended up giving it away.
Yeah, it even started up front. A nicer, just neater pass from Fernandes would have set up a lovely shot for McTominay when we were still we were still 3-2 up, I think, at that stage. But he hard pass back, and he miscontrolled, unfortunately. But it's like our goal difference. We've conceded 11 goals so far in the Champions League, so you kind of have to come into each game thinking, okay, we have to score 4 goals to win this match. That's how bad our goal difference is in our Champions League games. It's really poor. So it's hard though. The left side, we almost talk about the left side on this podcast every single time since Luke Shaw's been out for. I think he's been out for about 2.5 months now, has he? It's been that, and we're just waiting for Luke Shaw to get back, and hope things kind of sweep everything under the rug and hope things get better. But it's horrible tracking of the man from Darragh. It was very Wan-Bissaka was caught out in the first half at very same thing, but Onana stepped in to get the ball. So and then we have Varane, who didn't look like he wanted to be playing tonight. When he was asked to come on, he had a moody face. It was kind of, oh God, I guess I have to come on. Can you not tell Lindelof, like, come on, it has to be me? I don't know what it is with him there. And then Maguire, who for their, I'll have to mention their penalty, because I'm not sure was their penalty given for Darragh for Maguire's handball or for
Varane,
Varane or Maguire. I mean, both of them handballed. It's ridiculous. In fact, it's probably more of a penalty because of Varane's handball, where he could see the ball the whole way through the sky, like. But it was some just dodgy stuff, and last year we were a force at defence, and we couldn't score a goal up front at all. Only Rashford would score for us. And this season, our scoring is consistent, unfortunately, like it was last year. Not for Rashford, but our scoring is still bad. And this time we're not a force at the defence. Everything's going in.
Go ahead, Callum.
For me, I think Kevin said it already. 11 goals in the Champions League in, what is it?
4 games.
4 games. 4 games. And then I was just thinking about it. In the space of 10 days, we conceded 3 from Man City, 3 from Newcastle, and 4 tonight. That's another 10 goals in just, when was it? 29th of October, we played the Derby. November 3rd, we played Newcastle. November 8th. So it's like 10 days. And if that doesn't say something, nothing will, it's like 10 goals. Okay, you're playing heavy teams, Man City and Newcastle, but still we got 3-0 back-to-back in Old Trafford. That's a shame. 11 goals in 4 games in the Champions League. That's a shame. And it could have been worse. I was sitting there for the Galatasaray game, and I've seen what happened. It could have been worse if we drew last time. Imagine if we drew with that penalty against Copenhagen last time in Old Trafford, and we would be losing the game. We're out. We're done.
We're out then,
At least now we're to keep the focus. And to be fair, at some point, I kept looking at the different groups. I was thinking in 2 ways. The positive way of, okay, we can still make it, and we can still, who will we play in the round of 16? This is when we were still winning, and even if we were like 4-3, and I was like, okay, we can still make it because Galatasaray lost. And then at some point, I started looking, apart from Liverpool, who can be else in the Europa League in case we get dropped to the Europa League. It can still be a good run if you go and win, try to win the Europa League, at least to get something positive with the season, because out of the Carabao, out of the Premier League, we still there for FA Cup, but obviously I don't see Man United competing to win the Champions League. So that's really tough to see and to accept the fact that you've conceded 10 goals in 10 days, and then you've conceded, as Kevin said, 11 goals in 4 games. So something is wrong at the back, because we're scoring goals. We scored 3 in München. We scored 2 against Galatasaray. We scored 3 tonight. So we are scoring, but the problem is we're conceding. We have a good goalkeeper. I won't say great goalkeeper. He is a great, but he hasn't shown that great qualities yet in Old Trafford, or at Man United at least. And at the back, Kevin said that you just, I had the same feeling when I saw Varane coming in. I was like, well, what is it? He doesn't look the same Varane I know, like, what was it,
Yeah.
But,
I mean, something has to go on behind the scenes that we're not knowing about.
Yeah, but let's
in that regard.
Listen, I think now The media will have a go. Sky will have, as Darragh steal his lines in our podcast sometimes when I play the host, and if it weren't for Casimiro's red cards, they won't have to talk about anything last season. I love that line, Darragh. I always quote it, or I always steal it. And now they will have a go at us. Four games, 4 losses in the past. What is it? 10 days or 3 games, 3 losses, and we will have to recover. We play Luton, we play Everton away, and then we play Galatasaray away, which is really, really, really tough. Galatasaray away, and then
I believe we also have an international break, though, guys. So this is
yeah, we do have an
even
international break.
worse.
Hopefully, no more energies, because now when we go to international break, I say, okay, who will come back energy to us? Injured. No, I said energies. I'm tired. No more injuries, and really now, it's not about bringing new transfers in. If I was looking about the problems, it would start higher with the ownership, and we take days talking about this live and here on YouTube, but in December, people have to go. Sancho will go. Martial will go. Hopefully, Martial will go. I don't think he will, but hopefully he will. And I believe Maguire, not Dallo, Maguire, Lindelof, and Evans. We cannot continue to the whole season with them in the back. We have to get a center back. We have to get a decent, strong center back in order to compete and to fight. That's really my last words. I'm dropping of the live in case people are watching in 2 to 3 minutes. But it was tough to witness. But still, there's a positive thing inside me that says we will go out there, because you see it. What we saw in Fulham game, after we get beaten, we always get with this energy and levels and aggressive players, and we win. So now I think we will go to Galatasaray and we will do our best and go back with a win. And then still, I don't want to get to that last game in the Champions League against Bayern, who never lost a group phase game in the last 16 games, like 4 years, and have my hopes to qualify on a game against Bayern with Harry Kane coming back. It's too much of a compass. We have to win in Turkey in order to seal the deal, and still it will be played until the end, because I think Copenhagen will go to Germany, or it's the other way around. But anyway, it's a tough game for them against Bayern.
Yeah,
and they will do the job, at least for us, beating Copenhagen, and we'll have to do our job beating Galatasaray.
All right, man. I know you got to drop out.
All right, I'll leave you guys. Darragh, give up
we'll
to
see you later,
you.
man.
See you, man.
I'll see you later. Thank you.
Thank you,
But,
man. Yeah, Darragh, go ahead.
No, just to, as Caleb would have always said, he steals my lines from when I use them. I'm going to give him a new one to use. As he said there, when Casemiro gets his red cards, Sky and Talksport will always talk about us. Here's another one for him. When Rashford got that red card, I just immediately said to myself on social media, well, that's the LUHG crowd banging on about Rashford now again, because of the fact he was smiling when he got the red card. So you can win with some people on social media. But look, I suppose to pick up on the points there about the fact that we've conceded so many goals in so many games, like with the way Onana started, obviously we've all made our own comments at some point on how Onana has somewhat struggled to adapt to the Manchester United way now. But I suppose, as I said at the start to defend Onana, I said, look, you know what you're getting when you're going from De Gea, who barely moved outside the 6-yard line, to getting Onana, who's basically playing as a CDM some games when he decides to go so far down playing sweeper keeper. But the thing is, I suppose the difference with him adapting to Manchester United and De Gea coming in as a fresh young fella, the difference was United actually had a relatively decent keeper backing in behind De Gea, because they had Andres Lindegaard at the time, who was a reputable goalkeeper and, in my opinion, one of the better secondary keepers that United had under Fergie. But the problem is we haven't seen anything of buy-in there yet. So, and I'm not trying to say drop Onana, because he's coming into this vein of form now that he's finding his ground. He's knowing he knows what he can do. He knows what he can't do. But you kind of have to question: is buy-in there going in for a few games before Onana goes off for the African Cup of Nations the possible way to go? And I only say that to give Bayern there the taste of what it's actually like to be a Manchester United goalkeeper, because at least we'll know then for certainty if we have another case of Sergio Romero, where we have a decent secondary goalkeeper again. Because the only secondary goalkeepers that I can name off the top of my head that I found to be of a decent quality were Andres Lindegaard and Sergio Romero. Because every other primary number one goalkeeper throughout the time of me being alive following Manchester United, it's a case of you have Schmeichel back when I was young enough to even remember United those days. We have Fabian Barthez, who was okay, not the greatest, albeit. Then we had Edwin van der Sar. That saved us for so many years. And then we had De Gea for, was it 12 years? So we never, bar Sergio Romero and the mediocre time of Andres Lindegaard, we didn't have anyone who you could say, okay, this is our out and out secondary goalkeeper, and a decent one at that. We normally just have a secondary goalkeeper for the sake of it. So I like Onan, and I like the way he plays, and I love how he's after coming into this vein of form. But we know he's going after the African Cup of Nations, so he's definitely missing for at least 3 or 4 weeks. Now maybe might be the time. The problem is, what game do you pull the trigger and buy in there if you're going to do it? That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a whole other conversation. In defense of the midfield, because I just want to, I don't know why I want to. I'm usually not. When I'm in y'all's position, I usually get upset, but I'm going to try to be a little positive. In Shaw and Martinez, that the our whole starting left side of that defense has been out for a very significant portion of this season. So I understand why. I get it. Last season we were freaking locked up at the back, but when you got two of the starters on one side and both of them left-footed, both of them key to rotating the ball on that left side, all that's a significant thing back there. But we are going to be coming to the end. We always do ratings, and I'm going to try to go through it very quickly. I know it's going to be a little rough. We won't bother to rate Rashford because that would just be mean. So we'll just try to get through them quickly. Kevin, I'm going to come to you first with Onana as our keeper.
Nothing spectacular today, unfortunately. No penalty save, but none terrible either. Just still conceded 4 goals. Couldn't really do much about any of them, really. I'll just go with a 6.
Yeah, that seems about right.
I'll follow a 6, yeah, because, okay, maybe if you're going to be nitpicking, really, maybe that last one for Copenhagen, he could have been a bit more ready to pounce for the save. That's just nitpicking now, but other than that, you really can't say he did anything out of the way otherwise. So a 6 is very reasonable for the game that he had, really.
Yeah, I'll agree. There was so to move along quickly as well. I'm going to pair off with some of them now. So
that's fine,
I'm going to give you both of our backs, left back and our right back. So Wan-Bissaka and Dalot today.
Ooh, and to anyone who knows me, Caleb would agree. I like Darragh and I love him a lot, and I've seen him play live at left back when he was only a young fella when he first signed for United. He had to cover Shaw, got injured in the game. I think it was against Brighton back in 2019. First time I ever heard of him even playing left back. Stormed it on the day, so I knew he could play left back and everything. But today he was just woeful. And I always try and remain positive on Darragh because I've always enjoyed watching him from the moment he came to the club. And I'm being very reasonable when I say this. I'm going to give him a 4 on the simple basis that 4 just seems the par for it there. Wan-Bissaka, I mean, he was very good to track back. He was actually very good going forward as well. And we saw that in the first 15 minutes, especially with the setup for that goal 3 minutes in for Highland. So it just shows that he is after coming on so much. And at the end of the day, there's the debate of one of them's got to go to bring in someone that Ten Hag actually wants at right back. And you got to have to question who is actually more favourable to Ten Hag because he likes playing both. In the second half of last season, he obviously favoured Wan-Bissaka because of the resurgence that he made, which understandably so. Wan-Bissaka, I'll give some might say I'm being too lenient here because he was at mistake for one of the goals. I'm going to say a 6.
Okay. Okay. Kevin, any disagreements?
Maybe nice with both of them. -1 off each score, I think.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay. Yeah, I'll agree. I'll agree with what we're saying there. And I actually like Wan-Bissaka a lot just because I'm an old school tackling defending guy. But I will say he has some effective passes, and just because they ain't pretty doesn't mean they're they're not effective. All right, just because he looks weird doing it, as long as they're effective. Kevin, I'm pairing you up with our two center backs today. Well, no, we'll take. So I think you already could figure out what I mean. We'll take Jones out of it because of injury, so Maguire and Varane.
Both poor. Varane didn't look like he wanted to be there. Harry Maguire showed flashes of determination, I think I put in there. But again, he's just, I mean, you see him, he got caught out of position a few times. I think I'd give Harry a 4 and Varane a 3. I sound harsh now because of the rate you've given on the two wing backs, but I'm going to rate Varane lower because of his mood today was horrendous, and it seemed to really affect the team.
No, yeah, I agree there. If anything, I'll give Maguire a 5 because obviously he was naturally going to be the better of the two centre backs, just going off his mood and attitude anyway. Like Varane, it's a hard one because he showed like he showed like really one or two instances where he actually looked like he gave it them, and then the rest of the game I guess slaughtered for saying this, I'd say, but he kind of went around in a Martial like mood where he was just kind of slumped, he was kind of low, he wasn't running for everything, like, so it was a very much a case that he wasn't, as we pointed out already, it just didn't look like he gave a damn about the game. He came on with a bit of a huff and a puff. Maguire, I think, in fairness, I'm not going to be one to criticize Harry Maguire anymore on the simple basis of the resurgence that he's made, because someone made a point to me on my social media. Oh, but he had a poor game against City and Newcastle. How can you defend him anymore? I goes, the whole team had bad games those two games. so you can't just pinpoint something like fair enough. Someone was it the Newcastle game? I think someone pointed out Darragh to me again, and I was, you can't just take it off the simple case that, oh yeah, fair enough. If he's blatantly at fault for one of the goals, fine. But you can't just pinpoint one person for the whole 90 minutes when it's actually a full team effort in that regard. So like, I just found it stupid that people were just going straight for a Maguire every single game since then, because like fair enough, you look at the games that he performed well in. He performed well against Sheffield, and he performed well against Fulham. And like I said on my own social media, fantastic considering against Fulham, considering what happened 90 seconds in. To play the full 90 is astonishing. But no, I'd give Maguire a 5, and I'd agree with Varane's 3.
All right. Yeah. Okay. For the midfields now, again, to keep it moving, I'm going to pair it off a little bit weird there, and you might be a little bit unfortunate to get the weird pairing. I'm going to give you Eriksen and Amrabat because they both played a full half in essentially the same position, but very two different halves.
I'm going to give Eriksen a 5, only on the basis that when the team were flowing, when the first 25 minutes were flowing, when we went 2-0 up, you could see the chain was in motion. You could see that himself and Bruno were trying to string the pass together. They were trying to put the ball forward. And this is what surprised me. Like, I noticed already when Rashford went off, the whole kind of team fell flat, understandably so, because when you have two decisions like that go against you in 10 minutes, your morale's going to drop. So, like, the whole kind of team just kind of dropped as a whole there going into half-time. But of the midfielders to be subbed off for Amrabat, then I was kind of surprised it was Eriksen, because you kind of have to think of the perspective of in my eyes, I would have seen it as if you're bringing on Amrabat, you have to bring off someone who is like for like. So I would have taken off McTominay there, because at least you still have that person like Eriksen collecting the ball from deep, trying to spray it forward like Bruno is. It just made more sense for me to say bring McTominay off and leave Eriksen on, leave Amrabat in that defensive role, and then leave Eriksen kind of, I won't say more of a freer role than what in the Bruno-like role, as I've called it, but more just a ball-playing position more than anything, whereas Amrabat would take care of the defensive side of it. So Amrabat, I didn't think he had the worst game. Like, I think the fact that everything just kind of fell apart in the last 15 minutes, call me a critic here, and I didn't see any big flash in the pan from him to give him anything but more than a 4 or 5. No, you can call me differently on that, but that's just the way I saw it anyway.
No, yeah.
I thought Eriksen was the right player to be taken off. I think once you go down to 10, you need more athleticism in there just to cover the ground, and he just, legs just aren't there anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, no, like I always found since the start of the season, the way he's been used in either the starting role or the sub role, he's more suited to being the super sub, and I hate it because I've always found even at his time at Spurs, he was a fantastic midfielder, being able to play in the higher role and like the way he is now playing the deeper role. But there's just something about him where he is more effective now, coming on the 65th minute, trying to break the passes in a weakened, a more fatigued centre-back line, where he can break the line, have someone with a bit of bursting pace like Garnacho if he's brought on at the same time. The two of them work in sync that way. It just makes more sense. Like,
fantastic player to have when you're ahead.
Oh, exactly. Guaranteed.
Yeah. Y'all, everybody, you guys make great points, and I agree with the ratings and different things you guys are saying. Kevin, the next part of the midfield pair, so you are going to get Bruno and McTominay.
So McTominay had multi-roles this time. He was pretty much box guy. He did a pretty forgettable job, I think, is what you'd have to say for that. I think 5 for him. Bruno, great penalty, and he had to play right midfield for most of the game as well. I mean, it wasn't center attacking midfield. So, give him a 5 as well. Just, he did an awkward position. He did it awkwardly.
Yeah,
Wait,
no.
you give him a little something, like a 0.5 for the assist, maybe, McTominay?
No,
he should have had another assist for McTominay, which is why I'm taking that 0.5. I'd minus that out.
I'd agree, but I'd actually give Bruno the 6 simply because at the end of the day he was trying to cover his higher number 10 role with the right hand side once Rashford got sent off, so it wasn't an easy task. That first half an hour, I was just screaming at the TV saying, if this was the Bruno we were getting the last 10 games, Hyland would have been off the mark in the Premier League by now, because that's exactly how you want it, because you want Bruno playing back in that free number 10 role, playing the ball up. If he wasn't restricted to the right hand side all the time, he'd be giving Hyland the service, because you could see what they were trying to do across that first 25-30 minutes. The fact that Rashford got sent off now, we're not pointing to blame Rashford at all here, but it's a case that with everything that went on, you could see what was trying to be done, and it's a case that I wouldn't mind. Right, Cameron Smith swap there, but I'll say it straight out. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the starting lineup now for the Luton game, because honestly, it actually worked very well, even with Rashford on his less favoured right hand side.
Yeah.
It was a formation. It was the formation and tactics that worked until the red card. because you saw the way we just, there was a comment by the commentators as well, and I do have to point it out that they were making the point of the big tifo that Copenhagen had when United when the teams were coming onto the pitch, theatre nightmares and everything. But even the commentators made the point: the fans make the big song and dance of theatre nightmares, but the players themselves in the first 25 minutes didn't do anything to affect Man United in any way. So I do feel if you take that kind of approach where you have, like, was I right in saying that was the first time the front three have played together in a starting lineup?
Probably.
I think it was. So, like, it's something worth experimenting again against Luton, because provided no VAR gets interference in that game, I don't see why there won't be any reason to say that this formation could work. Now, maybe just to see if there's any difference, switch Garnacho and Rashford just to see how Garnacho plays on the right hand side. But other than that, I'm happy with how the team started out.
Yeah, I agree with that. And this one, I guess because of the way it ended up, I mean, you can both talk about it as well, but the last two guys up top who were left because Rashford got sent off. So Højlund getting his goal and Garnacho, who I think, to give him credit, for a while I've been saying he's a super sub, and he still technically might be, but he seems to be taking some steps to making progress that we were all hoping to see, because there's definitely some great talent there. So, Kevin, you can start off on that, on the two of them in the attack.
Højlund is very unlucky that Rashford, he probably was on his way to a 10 out of 10, I'd say, today. And he was in the right place for the right goals. I'll just have to give him 7 because he wasn't influential in the second half. If it was a first half performance ranking, it'd be a 9, but just because he couldn't get on the ball at all in the second half, I'll give him a 7. Garnacho lost the ball a few times. I suppose you could call it an assist for
Højlund's
second goal, maybe, but he was pretty slow to close down their cross for their first goal, I think it was, and defensively he does show issues. Not helped at all by Dallo, of course, in his performance tonight. But I'll give Garnacho a 5.
I can't disagree with what Kevin's just said about Højlund, because it is 7 on the overall performance, simply because of the lack of service that was given to him in the second half. If we were just going off the first 45 minutes alone, I'd be harsh to give him anything less than an 8, because he was pressing, he was straight in there, like I was talking earlier about the poacher instinct. It was just fantastic to watch. Garnacho, though, I'll give a 6, because Hamma, I'm on the same wavelength as you about Garnacho. I still feel he's still in that super sub mode where he's best suited, but you can just see the way he's taken the last couple of games starting. He is getting there.
Yeah.
It might take to the end of the season just to see whether he's fully made out to be a starter or not. We'll see how the rest of the season pans out. But no, I'll give him a 6, because to give him a 5, I feel would be a little bit harsh because of what he was trying to do. But again, the whole team was trying to do something in the second half, and it just didn't look like it was paying off either.
Yeah. Well, all right. I'm not going to go into too much of the substitutions, because I think we've tortured ourselves long enough talking about this game.
Yeah.
I appreciate everybody who are still here, and all the people who were watching. I saw the numbers going up, at different times. It was a rough game for us. We are semi-fortunate that we can still take it into our control to see if we can make it through to the next round. But we need a big turnaround. Maybe the international break will give these guys a little bit of a mental break, but we're going to have a big turnaround to save things in this season. Kevin, thank you for joining. Darragh, thank you for joining. Khaled was here before if everybody stayed in. I think that was the best we could probably do, all things considered. Everybody have a great time. We got another game coming up this weekend. Hopefully it ain't as stressful.
Hopefully.
Somehow I think